A bakery-quality pizza is defined by its toasted crust, the curled edges of the pepperoni, and thick, bubbling cheese. Replicating this result in a home kitchen requires the precise application of physics and chemistry to every layer of the assembly. This process relies on controlling biological yeast activation and the thermodynamics of the topping layer, followed by a specific assembly sequence and extreme thermal shock. Aligning these phases creates a rigid, airy base that remains crisp and dry despite the weight of the toppings. The dough begins with these exact baseline requirements: 170 grams of water, 250 grams of bread flour, 12 grams of sugar, 7 grams of olive oil, and a half teaspoon each of active dry yeast and salt. Bloom the active dry yeast in water warmed to exactly 110 degrees Fahrenheit. This specific temperature is necessary to jumpstart the biological fermentation. Mix the components using a stand mixer or by hand. This physical agitation is what builds the gluten network needed for a strong, elastic structure. A cold rise phase in the refrigerator allows the dough to rest, which relaxes the gluten and deepens the flavor profile. When shaping the pie, stretch the dough exclusively by hand. A rolling pin must be avoided, as it collapses the air pockets developed during fermentation. Allow the dough to sit at room temperature for 2 hours before stretching. This prevents the gluten from snapping back, making it easier to reach the edges of your pan. Combining proper gluten development with gentle hand stretching creates a foundation capable of supporting heavy moisture without the center becoming soggy. Moving to the topping layer, the goal is the cupped texture that characterizes elite pepperoni pizzas. Cupping is a thermodynamic reaction. Intense top heat strikes the meat, while cheese insulates the bottom, forcing edges to curl upward. Achieving this requires a specific thickness. The meat must be between 0.1 and 0.225 inches thick. Thinner slices cook too evenly to curl. Slicing a whole stick of premium pepperoni manually is the most reliable way to maintain this exact measurement. Controlling the thickness of the meat ensures a final texture where the edges are crispy and the center holds a pool of savory oil. Now that the 14-inch dough is fully stretched on the crisper, we begin assembly. The primary enemy of a homemade pie is moisture from the tomato sauce soaking into the raw dough during the bake. To prevent this, apply the freshly grated mozzarella directly to the bare dough first, ensuring it covers the surface all the way to the edges. Apply the sauce in dollops on top of the cheese layer. This sequence isolates the liquid from the flour base. Place your precisely sliced pepperonis evenly across the top of the sauce and cheese. Using the cheese as an impenetrable moisture barrier ensures the crust bakes completely through, remaining dry and crisp. The final requirement is heat. The oven must be set to 550 degrees Fahrenheit. The oven needs to sit at this temperature for at least 30 minutes before baking to saturate the cooking surface with thermal mass. When the dough hits that 550-degree environment, it experiences an immediate physical reaction known as oven spring, causing the crust to puff instantly. During a strict 6-minute bake, this thermal shock violently melts the cheese and sears the toppings into their final form. Sustained high heat is what locks the internal structure of the dough and provides the final crisp to the crust. Upon removal, the visual markers of a successful bake are clear: a dark golden crown and properly cupped pepperoni. The airy crust and the glistening oil held by the meat are the direct result of the thermal mass and thickness controls we applied. This image provides the proof of the assembly method. Note the velvety strands of mozzarella stretching from the slice, showing a perfect melt that remained completely isolated from the sauce. Using a scientific approach to construction replaces guesswork with a predictable, high-quality result. Gather your tools and preheat your oven. It's time to execute this blueprint.